this is Stephanie from stampwithstephanie.com, and I'm going to show you how to make this little wish list booklet. So the new catalog is about to come out, and I thought it would be a really good time to create something cute to make for your customers or just to make for yourself, to create a wish list for the things that you want from the new catalog. I created a PDF for you, and it's a free download, and I will link it in the video description. I will link to my blog post that has a link to this PDF that you can download for free. What you will get in your download is a page that looks like this. And I'm not sure if you can see it in the video, but there is a really light gray border around the PDF. So you want to print this at 100%. You don't want to let your printer shrink to fit or resize this at all. You just want to print it at 100%, and you want to print both the front and the back. And this will take a little bit of experimenting because everybody's printer is a little bit different, but you want to make sure that the top of your boxes here on the front match or on the same side as the top of the boxes on the back side. So what happens for me, my printer feeds from the bottom. So I put my paper, load my paper into the bottom tray, and it prints and it comes out and it looks just like this. And so what I do is I take it and I don't rotate it, I don't flip it over, I don't do anything except for take it exactly how it is and put it back in that printer tray, and then it goes through and prints on the opposite side. Like I said, everybody's printer is a little bit different, so you want to experiment with that before you print out a whole bunch of these. Okay, so back to what I was saying is there is a really light gray box around here, and what you will want to do is trim that away so that it looks like this. After you've trimmed out around that gray box, you are going to come in and cut this with the short side at the top. You're going to cut at 3 1/4. So that's going to give you, that'll give you 2 pieces of your book, and then you'll fold these in half. And that's it. So then you will just stack, take however many you want. So I've got a few over here. I'm gonna do 4. And you'll stack those are all folded, and you're not gonna nest them into each other. You're just gonna stack them on top of each other. And then they're ready to put inside of our booklet. So to make the outside of the booklet, you are going to need a piece of designer series paper, and I'm using one of the new In Colors Berry Burst, and it's going to measure 9.5 by 3.5. Then you're going to put that in your paper trimmer or your scoring tool, and you're going to score at 4 3/4 and 5. All right, so you are going to fold down on the middle score line, and then this secondary score line you're going to fold back. All right, so after you've done that, take the stack of wish lists and center that as best as you can. And then you are going to staple, and I did 3 staples right along that fold line. So just did 1 in the middle, on each side of that. And so that is the base of your booklet. So then you can decorate it however you want. I want to show you how I decorated mine. I'm using a new stamp set called Tranquil Tulips, and this is what it looks like. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to emboss this green piece, which this is another new in color, and it's called Lemon Lime Twist. That piece measures 4 1/4 by 3 1/4. I'm going to bring in my Big Shot. I'm going to use this new embossing folder. It is called, I'm not sure, it's called Oh My Stars. Here, and run it through. Alright, so once that comes out of the folder, it looks like this. And we will attach that to our booklet. Oops. Make sure you know which side's up. And we'll put that at an angle. Next, I have a piece of Whisper White that measures 3 3/4 by 2 3/4. And this is what we're going to do our stamping on. So the tulips. I'm going to get my piercing mat because when you're working with photopolymer stamps, it just always works better if you use this underneath. I'm also going to get a piece of Whisper White scrap and then a piece of the Lemon Lime Twist scrap. Got, again, the Berry Burst ink pad. And I'm going to stamp, make sure you can see. I'm going to stamp this first shape, which is the smaller of the tulips. I'm working with the smaller of the 2 tulips that we have available. And that's going to go over towards the left pretty far. You're going to stamp it there. Now, this is supposed to look kind of distressed. It's supposed to look kind of artistic, like watercolor. So it's not going to look really smooth, but the more it dries on it does look a little bit smoother than it looks now. We're also going to stamp that once on our scrap piece. Then we're going to take the detail piece of that smaller tulip and we're going to stamp right on top. I'll try not to get my head in, but I want to, in the camera, but I want to line this up. Perfect. And then you'll do that on your scrap piece as well. Then you are going to use this little teeny tiny flower right here. And you're going to stamp 2 of those right here. And then 1 over on your scrap piece. And that is it for the Berry Burst stamping. Now the Lemon Lime Twist, I've got this stamp right here that is just going to be the stem, and I'm going to stamp that. Oh, I'm going to grab a piece of scrap paper because I don't want to get ink all over this. And this is going to hang off the edge a little bit. So like 1, 2, 3, and don't worry about this little gap right here because we're going to cover that up with some leaves that we're going to create with this stamp set right, or this stamp right here. So I'm going to stamp this twice on a scrap piece of Lemon Lime Twist. It's going to take me a while to remember the names of the new colors. Okay, we're going to stamp that twice. And that is all of the stamping. So you may be wondering where this word wish list comes from. And that is another download that I have on my website that I will give you the link to. I cut one row off already, but it's just the word wish list a bunch of times. And it's in the same font as the headline on your wish list booklet titles. So you can do something different if you want, but this is available for you to use on my website if you would like. So I'm just going to grab my paper trimmer and trim off another one of these rows. My paper trimmer is doing something. Here's a quick tip real quick. My paper trimmer is really getting a scraggly edge. Can you see that along here? So that probably means that this track is dirty. It also just does this a lot worse on Whisper White, regular Whisper White paper than other pages. But I'm going to show you to clean it out your track. You just take a piece of cardstock and put it in that groove, and then pull it down, and now you can see maybe all of this lint, paper lint that came out of that track. That contributes to a scraggly edge. Scraggly is a professional industry term, but let's see if this does any better. So I'm going to try to cut this down. Looks like it's going to be better. Trim off gross edge. Oh yeah, way better. And then I have a scrap piece of this Berry Burst 2 1/4, and then 3/4. Okay, so there aren't framelits that go with this stamp set, so we're gonna fussy cut these 2 leaves and then this little flower, and we're not going to cut the entire tulip out. We're only going to cut that top layer. So the shape from this detail area. So the reason I stamped both of them is because you get a really nice textured watercolor look when you layer the two, but I only want to really pop up that detail layer. Let's see if you can see that. You see how it's... Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to start here, and really when you fussy cut, I kind of like it. I know a lot of people hate fussy cutting, but the key is to turn your paper and not turn your scissors as much as possible. Every once in a while you'll have to turn your scissors, but if you move the paper along, it's a lot easier to do. So here I'm just cutting down around this front layer. So there's that. And then I'll fast forward through this part so you don't have to watch me. Have my pieces cut out. One other thing I want to do is I want to just angle the end of this wish list. Okay. All right, so let's start putting this together. So on here, we're going to use a dimensional on the back of the tulip. Place that there. We are going to decide how you want to arrange the grass, and I just did like a couple of different heights. Ideally I would use glue dots to stick these down, but I cannot find my glue dots right now, so I'm just going to put a little bit of fast fuse on here and stick this down. Then any of this that hangs off, I'm just going to trim off. Next, I'm just going to temporarily, or just barely, adhere the edge of this wish list piece to the left edge of my little banner piece of Berry Burst. I don't know why I can't remember that. And then I've got a little piece of the Lemon Lime Twist ribbon, and I'm actually going to cut this in half longwise, and it doesn't seem like this comes unraveled. So now I've got a shorter piece. Let me see which one I like better. This piece. Okay, and I'm going to fold that in half, sort of offset it a little bit. And then I'm going to staple that. And then our little flower, again, ideally I would use a glue dot. Found some. These aren't the right ones, but a glue dot really works well here. So I'm going to use a glue dot to put the flower on right over that staple to cover that up. And then I'm going to use a dimensional or two on the back of your wording. Place that here. Okay, let's go ahead and attach this to our booklet. And now that I'm looking at this, I'll make sure the measurements are correct in my written instructions and in the description of this video. But I'm noticing my green piece of paper is a lot bigger, or a little bit bigger, on this booklet than it is on this booklet. And I don't know if I just cut this wrong or if I have the wrong dimensions written down. So again, I'll make sure that that's correct, and then when I'm going through the measurements, I'll make sure I put the correct measurements up on the screen here. So mine is a little bit big. Maybe you like that, I don't know. And then, okay, we have a couple of last details that I want to put on here, and the first are these clear faceted gems, and there's two different sizes, well, three different sizes: large, medium, and then these smaller ones. I'm going to use the smaller ones, and I'm going to just use the tip of my scissors to pull these off, and I want one in the middle of each of these tiny flowers. I love these things. The final thing I did was just, I wanted to cover up these staples. So I got some baker's twine, just some white baker's twine, and I've just looped this around 3 times. This is probably the hardest part of the whole thing. I looped it around a few times to cover up, so I've got enough bulk to cover up the staples, and then I'm going to tie, or attempt to tie, a bow. Hey, I did it. And then just trim off the ends. I think that bow is a little bit big, so if I wasn't on camera, I would make that a little bit smaller. But that's it. And so now this is just a great way to keep track of all of the new goodies that you want out of the new catalog. I hope you enjoyed this project, and thank you for watching.